Hi, today I want to show you what I did. I hooked up an inverter in my van, just kind of rigged it. As you can see, I have really bad battery terminals. I will be replacing all of this as far as the battery terminals go. I do need another battery. This battery is extremely weak. Right here, I have a fuse. I'm going to mount it right here up on the wall when I get the right battery for this. The battery, actually the positive needs to be on the front instead of on the back for the right battery for this. Now I would have went under the vehicle, but it takes a lot of wire to go under the vehicle. And there's my inverter. Now I have a heater in here. Now unfortunately, my 1100 watt power inverter is not the best to be running this off of. I did put an off and on switch here. See, there goes the inverter. On, off, on, on. And I will show the other way I got this hooked up, the way I brought the cables through. Now I do have a small heater here. Unfortunately, with this weak battery, it may put my inverter off unless I'm revving the motor up. We will see. This is actually a 1200 watt, 1250 watt, 1500 watt. So I'm going to give it a little rev up. Let's put it on low. Okay, it's putting out heat. Alright, I'm going to kick this up on high. It will probably trip the inverter. Yeah, because that's 1500 watts. Alright. But on low, it seems to be working. Put this on watts. Alright, this is kicking out 954 watts on low. Oh yeah, that's nice. 954, 948. Now if I let off on my gas, I'm sure this will actually trip. Oh yeah. I have probably about 5 feet of wire between this switch and the battery. And of course, like I said, the battery is extremely weak. As long as I have the gas going a little bit, not just at an idle, this heater is working good. Now if I would have hooked up my large inverter, it would have pushed this heater with no problem on high. This is the small 1100 watt power bind inverter I have. Oh yeah, that's nice. And it's cold out here. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. And let's see if I can show my battery there. And I'm going to turn this off. Now I did have to pull one of the fuse caps because I wanted to be extremely safe on the back. This isn't the best way to do this, but I'm going to show you exactly how I hooked this up. So if you want to run a power inverter, and the reason I put the shut off switch up here is make sure that's off. That way I can unhook the inverter and just leave the cables laying and I don't have to worry about it. The ground is always connected, but the hot is disconnected. Alright, let me get out, go to the other side. Okay, I have the cables ran up underneath, right here. And I have a zip tie holding the wires here to keep it away from the motor, keep it away from the heat. The wires come here That is actually a 250 amp fuse. You can go lower if you want. I made sure I had enough wire that I could curve it. And the same with the negative. Negative goes all the way around the battery and around the back. And I know this doesn't look good. I drilled a hole right here. Here's the back of the inverter. And I did put tape all the way around. I could have got some smaller things here, some terminals, which I probably will end up doing, and just cutting a little bit of this wire, put some better terminals on here that fit a little bit better. As you can see right here, I actually had to pull one of the fuse holders off. It will fit if I turn the wire around this way and this way, basically like this. It'll fit with that fuse holder on. Over here on this side is where the cable's coming in for the hot lead, going to the switch. And over here, I measured about an extra 8 inches of the negative, because I wanted the cables to be the same length because of the length of the battery. And I brought that one up through here. Now I will get some rubber pieces here, and then, you know, put the cables through the rubber pieces and seal that up. So, but like I said, now that the switch is on, is off, turned off, I could actually unhook these and just leave them laying. And once I unhook this, I'll put my little cap back on over here. But I also do have to run a ground for my inverter, which I will end up doing. It's just going to be a small cable hooked to the frame, and that's it. As you can tell, I haven't really done much with the van. The brakes are going out on this thing. The dash lights are out. That's why I have some little lights that I pulled off the ceiling over there on the steering wheel, and I can plug them into the cigarette lighter and use those for dash lights. See, the brakes, of course, I've talked about the windshield wiper hose connectors are both broke, so there's no windshield wiper fluid. Oh, let's see, what else is wrong with this thing? A ton. I have a leak somewhere in the back corner. I think it's just a bad seal. But, oh, and I have summer tires on this thing, and it's winter. Good thing the weather is like going away for right now. I will probably replace these here with some regular nuts and some washers to make it tighter. But like I said, with this switch off, I can just leave this positive just laying, and I don't have to worry about it shorting out. I did heat shrink everything myself. I did make everything myself. I have a hammer crimper that I crimped everything with. So yeah, if you have a van and you just want to get an inverter in it for say a microwave or something like that, a small microwave or something like that, this is a real easy way to run your cables without having to go up underneath the vehicle. And this is pretty much a lot shorter than trying to run it clear to the back somewhere up under the vehicle and then back up. Just make sure you have a switch on it and a fuse. And I just have that screwed in there. Anyway, I just wanted to show you what I did today. It took me a couple hours to do. Measuring the right length of the wire was probably the hardest part. And then, of course, drilling the holes in here was a pain because I have this piece of junk. And this thing does not like to drill at all. It works fine for a cordless screwdriver. It's only 12 volt. It's a Black & Decker. I paid like $10 for it. So it has no power at all. I stripped my wires with just a regular razor knife. And of course, like I said, I did put my own terminals on This is 2-gauge wire. It's welder's wire. It's a whole lot cheaper to do this than buying a set. Here's a piece right here. I'll probably find something to use that with. But this is what I did today, and right now I'm letting my van run. Oh yeah, the battery, of course, I did mention is weak. I actually had to jump this thing off because the battery's actually bad. The alternator's fine. I may end up putting a larger size alternator in here, the biggest one I can get, and replacing the battery, and that would have no problem powering this inverter and like this little heater with no problems. Of course, like I said, if you're willing to rev up your motor, even with a bad battery like mine, this inverter, this little Power Bride 1100 watt that I paid $99 for, will kick this Walmart space heater on low. And this is one of these utility heaters. I can't tell where the power settings are, if it even has any, but it does work pretty well on low. A regular space heater, we have run a space heater off this. It's on one of my other videos, but it was hooked up to my battery pack, my 2 Walmart batteries that I use for my solar. And since this is running off the vehicle, if you're going to do this and run a heater in it, you have got to be up here revving this motor some, so your battery doesn't go down. But once again, I'll show you the outside. Let me show you farther back. And that was a pain to get some wires because all the stuff that's back there. The transmission stick is back there, and it kept wrapping around, and it was a pain. But once I got the wires out around it, it was no problem. And it's running behind that, which is your master cylinder, up over here. And here we go. And I just wanted to see if I could hook this up and have a little bit of power in case the lights go out or something. Like I said, the heater does work on low as long as you are pushing down on the pedal. If this was a bigger power inverter, it would possibly work. I could possibly hook my large inverter up out here, but it is just so big that, you know, this little Power Bright could sit here on top of the little shell here, or it could even set up here. I prefer it here because I can always put something over it and keep it out of the sun if I need to. But that's it. It's all I can think of. If you want me to show you how I made my cables, put a comment down in the links or the comment section, and I'll make a video on how I made the cables with the ends. And to put on the heat shrink, I do not have a heat gun. I just used a regular Bic lighter to put the heat shrink on. So if you want me to show you how I did the cables, leave a comment down in the bottom section of comments, and I'll show you how I hooked up the cables, or, you know, made the cables. But like I said, all I have is a hole there, push the wire through, that away, up underneath the hood. And on this side, I didn't want the wires too close together, and so I put one on this side over here. I cut a little piece of material away on the hump. Now if you have a van that's different, up under the dash you have where some cables come through, or you have a hole up under there, you could do it that way, but I don't, so this is the way I had to do it. Anyway, that's it. I just want to show you what I did today. And like I said, I will be replacing the terminals. I hope you can hear me over the motor. Alright, that's it. And like I said, if you want me to show you how I made the cables with the terminal ends on it, just leave a comment down there and ask, hey, can you show us? And I'll show you how I did it with my hammer crimper. These crimpers are really cheap. In fact, I'll show you my hammer crimper. As you can tell, there's a lot of junk in here. Right here. And this is how I crimped my cables. Yeah, it's really hard to do this with one hand. So if you want me to show you how I did that, because you can tell I have some extra wire here. And there's another bad battery. But if you want me to show you, like I said, leave the comments down there. And I have to let this run for a while because the battery was really super low. In fact, it would not even start. The battery on this is bad. I did use my little jump starter to jump it, to get it running. You know, it wouldn't even start before I hooked the inverter up. I do know the battery's bad. But, you know, even with the bad battery, the power inverter seems to be working good. And that's a Power Bright 1100 watt 12 volt, and I did pay $99.99 for it off AutoZone.com. And like I said, I just wanted to do this because having a little bit of way to have a little bit of power in case of power outage, even if it's off a vehicle or if you're hunting or traveling or camping, having a power inverter where you can run or charge a laptop, a computer, a small fridge. This will actually run a small fridge, so it'll actually run my large fridge. It's not super big, but you know, it's an apartment fridge. It's always good to have a way to run things. And I apologize because this camera just kicked off and back on, so if you missed something, I apologize. I'm just talking anyway. Like I said, oh, it would be nice if I turned everything on. And that's on low heat. And yes, I don't have my foot on the pedal, but the battery's charged up enough, it's actually working. Okay, and I don't want to leave that on. Alright, and I did buy, like I said, a shut off. Always be safe. Better safe than sorry. Always put your fuse as close to the battery as you can. Like you can see, mine is only 6-8 inches away with the cable. So always have a fuse on it. Make sure everything's good and tight as you can get it. Make sure everything's pulled away from anything that gets hot, like the motor. And make sure you have a way to unhook your inverter. You know, that hence the switch. So if you need to move your inverter or take your inverter out, nobody gets zapped or it doesn't ground out or short out. Anyway, like I said, if you want to see how I did my cables, these are 2-gauge welder's wire. I believe they can pull 600 amps. I don't know if you can read the words on that. And I bought a whole slew of this stuff. I bought like 30 feet of red and 30 feet of black for like $60, $68, something like that, off eBay. And this is the cable that I use to make my cables with on my solar setup. So, you know, I have plenty left. I will probably make some more cables, maybe some jumper cables or something out of the rest. I don't have a lot left, probably 6-7 feet maybe of each color. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm gonna let my van run for a while, let it charge. I gotta clean everything up. It took me about 2 hours to do this. Considering if I would have had a better drill, the reason it took like 2 hours is because my drill went dead, and I had to charge it up a little bit to try to finish up, because you know this 12-volt drill just stinks. You know, it's not very powerful. If I would have hooked up a regular drill, had a better drill bit, one a little bit bigger than the terminals, I could have done this in probably half the time. So anyway, that's it. I am going to have to splice 2 pieces of video together, unfortunately. I hate when my camera does this. But always make sure you have a switch. Always make sure you have a fuse. And you can put a 100 amp fuse, 150 amp fuse. I actually have a 250 amp fuse because that's what I have for my solar. And I had spare fuses. The switch ran me like, I'm trying to remember, it was like $7-8, something like that. I've had it quite a while though. The fuse holder, I just got the fuse holder for this the other day when the mail came in, and it ran me $6 for the fuse holder. Of course, I already had the A&L fuse, so I didn't have to buy one with a fuse, or I didn't have to buy a fuse. The inverter was $99.99. The cables, you can get shorter lengths of cables pretty cheap off of eBay or Amazon. And that the terminal ends, I think, ran. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9 or 10 terminal ends hooked up on this whole setup. That includes positive and negative. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then we have 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have 8 terminal ends for everything. So, you know, they're pretty reasonable priced. If you get one of these that's a 1/4 inch hole, this inverter is just a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch here, so you will have to drill it out. But you don't want anything too big. 1/4 inch is perfect if you drill it out and, you know, just make it slide on. It is really close together. You can get different terminal ends that are actually smaller. What I might end up doing is getting a metal file, and just filing these down some, which I don't have a file. That's why I didn't do it already. But it seems to work okay how it is. And how I wrap these with electrical tape, both of them. And then I just took my razor knife and I cut the circle out of the electrical tape and just peeled it back to leave a hole in the center of each one, if you're wondering how I made these. And that's it. I apologize for the length of the video. Once again, I'll show you the outside, and then I'll shut this off. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to shut this off, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. If this is something you're wanting to do, just to get you some power, this is the easy way to do it. Of course, you're going to have to drill a couple holes and then fill a couple holes. I could probably just put some silicone around that and seal that up, and it'll work just fine. Alright, that's it. I'm out of here, and everyone have a good day.